Hello, I'm Kelly Acheson at stampabove.com, coming to you from Menasha, Wisconsin. Today for the Split Coast Stampers tutorial, we're going to be playing with shrink plastic. Now, you may remember this from when you were a kid. We called it Shrinky Dinks, and they were so much fun watching the magic happen in the oven. There's a much easier way to shrink those little puppies down, and I'm going to show you how to incorporate them into your stamping. Let's flip this camera around and get started. So this shrink plastic that I have here is very old. I've had it in my stash of supplies for quite a while, but I do happen to know that you can get shrink plastic or Shrinky Dinks just about any place that carries craft supplies. Doesn't really matter what the brand is. This says it's artist grade shrink plastic. Doesn't make any difference. It all works. The only difference that I did find is some of it, this is solid white, and I had some other shrink plastic that I was playing with that was more of an opaque white. Either one works. They're both fantastic. So what I came up with is I wanted some ideas for Valentine's Day. So I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Blend markers. All of the products that I'm going to show you today are available through Stampin' Up. And because shrink plastic, I only have white shrink plastic. I wanted it to be colored for Valentine's Day. So this was the idea that I came up with. And I played with a lot of different things. But the Stampin' Blend alcohol markers seem to work fantastic for this. So I've just got a scrap of our shrink plastic. I shouldn't say of shrink plastic. Stampin' Up doesn't carry shrink plastic. So I am going to just color in some of the shrink plastic. I need an area big enough for the image that I am going to make here. I just colored my shrink plastic. I'm going to let this dry a little bit. It doesn't take very long to dry because these are alcohol markers. That's the key here. And I'm not getting any color here. So now I'm just going to turn it over. I can see through the shrink plastic as to how much I need to color on the back. Now, of course, you could use any color that you want. Then I'm going to bring in Stays-On ink. You need a permanent ink to achieve any stamping on a non-porous surface. So I've got Jet Black Stays-On ink. And then I'm going to be using the Heartfelt stamp set. This is a brand new Valentine set from Stampin' Up. It also comes with two different punches. We've got a regular punch and a scallop punch. We're going to be using the regular punch today. And I've got the Love You Lots that I'm going to ink up and stamp right on my colored shrink plastic. Get this closed. You always want to make sure you're closing up your Stays-On right away because it will dry out fast. Now, you can punch shrink plastic, and that's exactly what we're going to do here. These big punches work fine with it. And if I wanted to now, I could also stamp the other side, and I think we're going to do that. Just because the project that I have in mind can be seen front or back. There we go. The other thing you're going to need to do, depending on what you want to do with your shrink plastic when we're done with it, you will need a hole in it if you plan on attaching it to anything, or you may just want to shrink it down and put it on the front of a card as a little tiny embellishment. But I am using mine to make some charms. So I'm going to take about, this is a 1/4 inch punch. You do need a fairly large punch because the shrinking is huge when we shrink the shrink plastic down. I'm going to use something to hang on to my shrink plastic, and I'm choosing the Take Your Pick tool. And then I'm going to bring in just my regular heat tool. This is a heat tool that I use for embossing. We're going to shrink this, and now you'll get to see the magic happen. Keep heating it until it lays back down. It will flatten back out. We're done with that, and now I'm just going to take my acrylic block and press that down so that my image is flat again. We're going to leave it dry for just a couple seconds. If you pick it up too quickly, it'll bend it. There we go. Is that not just adorable? Look how intense that color is. So it goes from being kind of a very light pink. And by the way, this is the light Real Red Stampin' Blend marker. It's not the dark one, but look at how dark that is. And look at how much it shrunk. Is that not crazy? I know, I love the magic behind that. Now, what I'm gonna do with this cute little charm is I am going to grab a jump ring. You can get these at any craft store that sells jewelry supplies. Got a little tiny silver jump ring here. These are 6mm. They seem to be a really good size for this project. Whoops. I'm gonna fling it across my desk. That's not what I intended to do. We're gonna grab another one. We lost that one. I'll find it later, I'm sure. Okay, I'm just putting my little rounded pliers in here. And you do this however you need to do it, but I'm going to pull this apart a little bit so that we've got a break in the jump ring. And then I'm going to slide it right onto my little heart. I know this is probably hard to see because it's so tiny. And then we're going to pinch it back together. Okay, and I think I've got that pinched up there really good. Now, I don't know about you, but I have a whole bunch of wine-loving friends. And I've got these 25mm silver-plated wine glass charm rings. They can also double as earring hoops. I'm gonna take the little tiny end on here, and I'm gonna bend it back a little bit, because I've also got some beads here, and these make just the cutest gifts. So I'm gonna pour a few beads out into my hand. I've got some white ones and some red ones. And then I'm going to just add some beads. I'm doing red and white, and I don't know if you could really call that white. It's probably more clear. Okay, so I've got 5 of those on there. Then I'm gonna bring in my cute little shrink plastic or shrinky dink heart, and then I'm going to add 5 more beads, alternating those colors. And we're going to bend this little piece back so that it'll stay together. How cute is that? Yeah, here is a little wine glass charm. You know, you might have some friends who would wear this as earrings, as an earring. You could make a pair. But here's what I did with mine. I am going to put this on my wine glass. These glasses are so old. I actually got them for a wedding gift a million years ago. But look at how pretty that looks on the wine glass. Isn't that cute? Now, I also wanted to show you, whoops, I just tipped over my beads. This is how I would display my wine glass charms as a gift. So I made up, hang on, I made up this cute little card, and I can put this in a little gift bag with some tissue paper, make up a matching card and give that too. Yeah, aren't those sweet? So I've got just a couple more to show you. You can use punches, of course, with the shrink plastic. You can also use these dies. These are wafer thin dies. This, you can shrink that. You can die cut it. And when you do something like this, this is the size that it will turn out once you've get it shrunk. This happens to be our little snowman season. I colored on there with colored pencils, and then I put a little bit of Wink of Stella. I hope you can see that glimmer on my snowman. Isn't he cute? Again, stamped with Stays On. This could be a little wine charm. Then I also have this one. I've only got one charm on here, but this was actually our little snowman punch, the snowman builder punch. I punched him out and shrunk him, and then I would put 4 on this card. I gave these away as Christmas gifts this year to my wine drinking friends. I also made one with this little martini glass. I thought that was really cute. And again, I used the die to cut this. No, I didn't use the die. I stamped the image, then I cut around it with scissors, and you can see that I punched a hole at the top and then cut around that so that I could place a hole in it to hang it from my charm. And one more, I've got a little keychain. Whoops. This little keychain is die cut with the oval from the Stitched Shapes and stamped with the little playful penguin on there. Then I wanted to show you the difference. This is the white shrink plastic, which is what we colored and used. This was the opaque, so you can kind of see through it a little bit. They both work fantastic. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining me for this tutorial. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to leave comments underneath the video. I want to thank Split Coast Stampers for asking me to do this tutorial for you. I hope you have a lot of fun with it. This is a really fun thing to do with kids too, because of course the magic of these little items shrinking when you hit them with the heat gun, and the simplicity of using a heat gun versus having to go into the kitchen for the oven is huge, right? I have a whole bunch of other ideas. You'll see some more of these wine charms on my blog at www.astampabove.com. I hope you get yourself some shrink plastic and have some fun with it. Bye-bye.